What's up, War Eagle War Report family? It's your guy Ike Jones. We are here with pregame. Auburn is set to take on Notre Dame up in New York. Hopefully, everybody is having a good Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening as we get set for the matchup. As you funnel in here today for the matchup, make sure you're doing the necessary. Y'all know how we'd like to get down. Make sure you share the video with some people out there. Hashtag get your weight up at the War Report so we know you did that on social media. Like the video and subscribe to your channel. Guy Ike Jones in here doing a little Auburn basketball tonight. Auburn again set to take on Notre Dame up in Barclays Arena in Brooklyn, New York. Auburn is favored in the matchup, 14.5 points. Notre Dame comes in with a 1-1 record, just like Auburn does. And so far this season, Notre Dame has not looked like a formidable team, but they've always been kind of a traditionally decent basketball team. But so far this season, they haven't looked great. They're coming off of a loss to Western Carolina. So not super impressive there. But we'll see what happens with Auburn in this game. I never like to make too many conclusions too early in the season about what a team is or isn't. What I will say is that this Notre Dame team prides itself on the defensive end more so than its ability to score. So they're not going to go out here and light the scoreboard up. Probably Auburn is definitely going to push the pace as it has so much so far this season. Western Carolina is really only going about 7 deep on their team, so getting them worn out with the pace is definitely going to be a part of the recipe. Notre Dame's going to try to do the exact opposite. They're going to try to slow the pace down in this game. They don't want to get into an up and down pace in this game because they're not going to be able to keep up just physically in this game. So it's really going to be incumbent upon Auburn to stay out of foul trouble so that they can continue to push the pace. It has been rumored, and I don't know that it's been confirmed yet, but Denver Jones does have an injury and likely will not be playing in this game. I don't think anything official has come out from the Auburn channel saying so, but that definitely has been floating around quite a bit. So we'll keep an eye on that. Don't think starting lineups have been announced as of yet from Auburn either. So definitely want to keep an eye on what's happening with Denver Jones. In his stead, you will likely see they could go with the small guard lineup because Notre Dame does have smaller guards on their team. The leading scorer for Notre Dame, I believe his name is Marcus Burton, if I'm not mistaken. I know his last name is Burton. Marcus Burton, I am correct in that. 5'11" kid, right? So it's not as if they're going to have to worry about his height. They could go with the smaller lineup and get Aiden in there along with Trey. But don't know for sure if that's going to happen. Could bring Katie in as he's got the most experience as the other guard in to be able to play. So we'll look forward to seeing what the starting lineup is going to be for Auburn tonight. Again, I don't believe that's been announced. I am checking social media right now and don't see that it's been announced yet, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it and see what's happening with that whole situation. Coming into this game, let's just take a look at the numbers. And I appreciate you guys for dropping in here with us. So far on the season, Janai Broome, the leading scorer for Auburn at 17 points per game, also averaging 11 boards per game, leading Auburn thus far this season. Aiden Holloway off the bench, 4.5 assists per game in the first 2 contests, is the leading assist man for Auburn. As mentioned before, Marcus Burton is the leading scorer for Notre Dame, averaging 23 points per game, shooting a scorching 48.6% from the field. He's not a big three-point shooter. He's a mid-range slash guy. So he's getting his stuff in transition. He's getting his stuff getting all the way to the cup. But again, he's 5'11", right? So he's not going to be a big guard. He's going to be a guy that Auburn should be able to match up with, but it's going to be about his quickness and getting downhill that they're going to have to stop. The center for Notre Dame, Kerry Booth, is the leading rebounder for them. He's averaging 7 rebounds per game. And then Burton, the aforementioned guard, is averaging 3 assists per game. also averaging 4 turnovers per game so far this season. So look for Auburn to really try to, in the actions that Notre Dame want to do, get him to be the primary decision maker and forcing. I expect a lot of stuff where they're going to try to hedge high to stop him from having the ability to get downhill and force him into some late shot clock scenarios against some guards who should be able to contest and try to make sure that they're keeping other people from getting involved in the game plan. So I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're going to try to get the ball out of his hands uh, until late in the shot clock. So I mean, potentially they'll hedge high and then try to get out of his hands and make them work the offense through somebody else. They're going to need someone else to be able to step up and score for them. So when I'm looking at this roster for Notre Dame, the other guy that I would keep an eye on, who hasn't shot the ball particularly well so far this season, but Brayton Shrewsbury is the other guy that I would keep an eye on for this Notre Dame team. He's, again, not shot the ball particularly well so far, but he is a guy who I think is capable of going out there. He's at least got the confidence to be able to go out there and try to get some points for them. So off of the bench, I would look at Brayton Shrewsbury as a guy. He's going to play heavy minutes for them off the bench at one of the guard spots out there. So look out for his name a lot tonight. Defensively for Auburn, they're just going to have to be able to do a little bit better at securing the glass. That's been the biggest issue for them, finishing out possessions with a rebound after you forced a shot, limiting the second chance opportunities. And Auburn should be good in this game because, again, Notre Dame's going to want to slow it down and they're going to want to keep Auburn at a transition. How do you do that? You stop from turning the ball over and you don't allow for the long rebounds or the rebounds to go into transition. Auburn is running off of makes, misses, steals, doesn't matter. They want to push the tempo regardless of what the scenario is. So the way that you want to be able to do that for Notre Dame is make buckets, be efficient in your half court, slow the game down, and then get back so that you can set up your defense. You're not going to see a lot of full court presses or anything of that nature from Notre Dame consistently in this game unless they have to start to try to claw back into it. Again, tempo is not going to be the friend of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in this game, in my opinion. Gonna go to the comment section just to see what you guys are talking about. I appreciate everybody who has jumped in here on a Thursday night to talk a little Auburn basketball with me. Ethan Sandlin asks, is Notre Dame ranked? They are absolutely not ranked this season. So again, Notre Dame, I think, is kind of a middle of the pack team right now. They're not making any super huge impressions. As far as points per game, though, we haven't talked about that, but I did mention a little bit. Notre Dame's only given up 67 points per game so far this season. Auburn's averaging 84 points per game. So Auburn definitely wants to be closer to its average than Notre Dame is to their defensive average. Notre Dame, on the other hand, is only scoring 65.5 points per game. So if you just hold true to your point averages as far as how much you're scoring, Auburn wins this game going away. But again, it's going to be crucial, in my opinion, for Auburn to be able to control the defensive glass, secure possessions, and finish those possessions with some sort of security, whether that's a turnover, shot clock violation, so turnover in that regard, live ball turnover, shot clock violation. Let me say it that way. Offensive penalty or getting the rebound, right? That's going to be crucial for them. And we just have not done, Auburn's not done a great job of doing that so far this season. Been decent. Now, I think it's a little overblown how bad it's been. It's not been good. So let's make no mistakes about it. I'm not trying to excuse it away. But Baylor's a good team. I hesitate to call anybody really good early in the season with such a small sample size of seeing what they actually are and seeing what the landscape of college basketball is. But Baylor's a good team that's going to get better throughout the season. So tough break not being able to secure the victory there, but it's not an opponent that you should feel bad about losing to. Western Carolina, on the other hand, I don't know what to make of that loss. Right. I don't know what to make of that loss for Notre Dame. They lose a basketball game to a team that you would expect for them to beat just based upon where they are in the echelon of things. Right. So Auburn faces an opponent that's in, a mid-major conference and handles business versus them. All of that should give Auburn fans confidence that we're going to go out here and we're going to handle business as well. It doesn't seem to be an aberration so far. Auburn's ability to shoot the basketball hasn't been great percentage-wise, but the ability to turn it on at points, Aiden Holloway, KD Johnson, both shooting really well from the perimeter so far. Chad Baker Massar shooting a good percentage. The other guy that's shooting well, unfortunately for you, is Denver Jones, not going to be playing tonight. Again, he is reported as being injured. Uh, don't know the severity of the injury, don't even really know any details about it. But if I do get details, I'm sure I will be able to get those out to you guys. And, there are all kind of super sleuths out there on the internet that are actively working on that sort of intel for you. So I'm sure that the information will get out there. If not pregame, then during the game, you'll hear somebody talk about it if he's not in the starting lineup. And then definitely in the post game, someone will address it with Coach Pearl. So I'm sure we will hear something before the end of the night what the status of Denver Jones is. I don't believe it's anything serious because it's my understanding he's still in New York with the team. So if it was something more severe, they would have tried to figure out a way for him to get back home, or he'd be at a hospital somewhere there getting care. So I think it's something that's going to be fairly not going to be something that's going to be major or long term for him, but definitely hoping the best for Denver Jones, because he is going to be a factor in what Auburn wants to do offensively. Well, just overall, offensively and defensively. He is, I want to say, talk about him in past tense if he's gone for the season, but he is a bigger guard that's able to score the basketball, three level scorer for Auburn that's going to be needed to continue to be able to grow in this season. So hopefully everything is okay with him. Let's see. What else do we have going on? See a lot of people saying what's up in War Eagle. War Eagle to everybody out there. Bird and Beham says Aiden is ready for prime time. I believe that as well. Aiden Holloway has shown himself to not really be, listen, you start out the season versus Baylor. He didn't look shook during that game. He looked ready to come out there and play game one. So I'm looking forward to seeing him continue to progress. Hopefully Trey Donaldson is able to get a little bit more going for himself offensively as far as his ability to score the basketball. We see more of that offensive prowess that we saw in the latter portions of the season last year during the tournament specifically. He hasn't really looked to score, though. I mean, if we look at what he's doing on the season so far, let me take a look at. He's probably taken 5 or 6 shots. I don't even know how many shots he's taken this year, but not a lot. He hasn't been very assertive offensively. Trey Donaldson on the season is 3 of 7. He's taken 7 shots in 2 games, right? So Trey Donaldson's not really looking to score. It's not really what his role is on this team. But you just really want him to be efficient with it. I think the biggest issue that I've had thus far with Trey Donaldson is he kind of dribbles into no man's land sometimes when he gets down into the paint, and he's caught between, do I want to score this bucket or do I want to go and get the assist? And I think he's looking to pass more than he's looking to score when he gets down in there. And I think he needs to get a little more assertive and go down there with the idea of, I'm going to go get a bucket. And if that gets closed off, then let me go to pass. But I think a lot of the time he's going in there wanting to pass, wanting to set up something and get some other people going. And that's defenses are going to start to notice that trend. And it's like, all right, he's not coming down here to score. So we just need to back off of him and wait for him to try to get rid of the basketball. So hopefully he can start to see that about himself and start to get into, again, the mid-range stuff. I think is something that Trey showed a prowess for, the little short floaters and things in the lane. He needs to get back into that mindset a little bit. Let's see. James Barnett asks if Auburn wins, they play again tomorrow. That is correct. Win will be another game tomorrow night. So be looking out for the announcement of that. It's some sort of mini tournament situation going on. So let's see here. Ephesians 2:8-9 says Jay will to be more aggressive starting this game, going to need that in SEC play. We started the last game trying to get Jay Will involved offensively. The first play out of the gate was run for him specifically. He got an early shot up against Baylor. The first play out of the half versus Southeastern Louisiana, he got that shot as well. So I think there is a concerted effort for this staff to try to get him involved early and then let him just kind of get into the flow of the game. But Jay Will's got to take advantage of those opportunities. If he's able to come out early, if they're going to do those same things again and try to get him involved early and he's able to get an early bucket, I like the prospects for us really running him off the floor, because an assertive Jay Will, along with what you already have with other scorers on this team, it's going to be pretty difficult to be able to defend. It's going to be interesting seeing what the rotations, though, do look like without Denver Jones in there. There's not, I'm assuming Lior Berman probably gets a few more minutes in this game at the guard position or at an off guard, considering he had gotten a few minutes in the previous games, but more so out of foul trouble necessity than really having him in a normal rotation. So I'm assuming Berman's going to come in and play a few minutes just so you don't have a three guard rotation, especially if somebody gets into foul trouble. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do at the guard position as far as rotations are concerned. Let's see here. What else do we have? Not a lot of comments about the game in here tonight. Again, I appreciate. Oh, that is you're correct about that, Corey. You play it's you play the winner or the loser, so you play tomorrow regardless. So you just don't know who the matchup is going to be. So, my apologies. You are correct there on that, Corey. So, play the loser of the opposite matchup or the winner of the opposite matchup. So winners play winners, losers play losers in this. So we just don't know who the matchup is going to be. Um, let's see. We are about 20 minutes from the scheduled tip off in Barclay Arena for Auburn versus Notre Dame. And again, Auburn is coming into this game and Notre Dame coming into this game 1-1 record, respectively. In my opinion, Auburn's the better basketball team in this and should win the basketball game. But you just got to go out there and handle business. I think, it's not to the level of severity. Those of you who do watch the football content that we put out here, which is probably the vast majority of folks that watch this channel. I don't know anybody who specifically comes here for basketball content, but if you are here just for basketball, thank you very much for tuning in. But similarly to what I was talking about in regard to the game this weekend for Auburn football, there's not a reason why if Auburn comes and plays their game that they lose this basketball game. And that's no disrespect intended to Notre Dame. I'm just talking about the prowess that I believe that this Auburn basketball team has. Auburn is the better offensive team just in general, and Auburn is a decent to good defensive team, not great. No, I think the last year's team was a better defensive team than this year's team has proven to be thus far. I like what we're doing defensively this year, but nowhere near as physical and as locked down as last year's team. Plus, this year's team, the way that we push the pace, other teams are going to score. You sacrifice points sometimes when you're willing to go up and down the floor the way that this team is, just because the other team will have that same opportunity to get some easy buckets in transition. We're not as big at some of the places as far as physicality, a little bit more height, but more lean. So you're not able to be as physical in the half court as you were previously. You're trying to utilize, speed, quickness, length to be able to be disruptive as opposed to being physical like you were in the last couple of seasons in Auburn basketball. But I do think that this Auburn basketball team is a better basketball team than last year's team as far as its ceiling potential. Having said all that, I expect Auburn to win this basketball game again. If Auburn just comes out here and does what they need to do offensively, they should be able to just shoot them out of the daggone game. But again, I'm going to want to look at number of possessions that Auburn is going to get, because Notre Dame is going to attempt to slow this basketball game down and keep it muddy, right? A game that is in the 60s, right? If you get into that sort of muddy drag out contest, definitely favors Notre Dame. Once Auburn gets past 70, I think it's unlikely that Notre Dame has the firepower, unless somehow you're keeping it close with turnovers, that Notre Dame has the firepower to stay in this game. They haven't shot a healthy percentage from the 3-point line, and that's usually where teams who are not expected to get victories, they get some unexpected 3-point buckets, or you're turning the ball over, or again, foul trouble gets you into a situation. So again, I expect Auburn to win this basketball game. There's no reason for them not to. But listen, they got to play the game. You don't win games on paper. So we shall see. Let's see. Ephesians says, thank you for being here, Ike. Always killing it. Listen, man, this is what we do. I appreciate you guys for being here with me tonight, man. It'd be a lot less interesting if y'all weren't here talking back. So it makes no sense. I'd be sitting here talking to myself on a live stream if y'all weren't in here. So 15 minutes till tip. Jackson Hall says 8 p.m. tips gotta go. Doesn't like the late tips, especially on a weeknight when we got to get up and go to work in the morning. Listen, fortunately, I work right here, so I don't have the same kind of situation as a lot of people do. I'm very fortunate to be able to do this, and you guys make it completely possible for me to continue to do this sort of thing. But Yeah, the late night basketball game's gonna be something that's gonna happen throughout this season, particularly with the different kinds of matchups across the different time zones that are gonna be happening. I don't want is what happened in freaking football where you have a 9 o'clock game, right? All the way across the country. So 8 o'clock's right in that sweet spot for basketball, probably, unless you're going into OT, it'd be over with around 10. It's still a little late, but you can still get in bed and not feel ridiculous in the morning. But anything after that's gonna start to get into that. Oh my goodness, bro. Let's see here. Super chat from my guy Jazzy Joe says, "Does Auburn make at least 8 threes in this game? $100 for the correct answer." Well, let's take a look at historically what Auburn has done so far on the season. So Auburn has made 23-point attempts so far this year. That's an average of 10 per game. We'll definitely take more than we're probably going to take somewhere around 20 to 25 threes if I were to venture a guess right now. I'm going to say Auburn absolutely makes 8 threes in this game. Aiden Holloway is going to get 3. KD Johnson's going to get 2. Chad Baker Mazzaro get me 2 more to get me to 7. Janai Broom will attempt 4, make at least 1 or 2 to get me another one there. Uh, KD's going to shoot more if he's going to play more minutes. As long as he's taking them under control, I think it's a safe bet that we get to 8 in this game. Lior Berman may play a few minutes. Yeah, we'll get to 8 in this game. 8 3-pointers made in this game. Let's go ahead and book that. Yes, Jazzy. And I appreciate the super chat as always for coming in here with that. Matt Nunnally already told you guys what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button for us. And we appreciate everybody who continues to like the channel, support the channel in those ways. Corey says, I think Baker Mazzara has a big game tonight. I think he's poised to do just this. He's played well, but foul trouble has kept him out of the Baylor game, and I think he would have had a bigger impact on that game had he been in a little bit more in that game. He's a very versatile guy. So if you want to talk about going to a big lineup, so let's just talk theoretics here, right? Right now, he's playing at the 3/4 position. He's going to be a lean 4. If you want to talk about theoretics, he could bump all the way up to be playing a 2 guard with the way that he handles the basketball. That's really kind of out of position for him on a regular basis, but I could see situations where they would do that. What I'm hoping we're going to see out of Chad Baker Mazzara tonight is them try to get him ISO'd against some of the smaller guards for Notre Dame and let him get to his mid-range game where he can shoot over the top comfortably. So double-digit game tonight from Chad Baker Mazzara. I think 12 to 15 points is something that I would expect to see from him if he stays out of foul trouble. But good call there, Corey. I like that. Let's see here. Let's see. What else do we have here? Again, appreciate you guys going here. Jackson Hall says, I can't go straight to sleep after anything Auburn related is the problem. Speaking of which, going straight to sleep right afterwards, depending on what time this game ends, of course, I've got a lot of post game work that I have to do. I may come in here and do a post game. If this game's interesting, for sure, we'll come in and we'll talk about it. If it's a blowout, I might not, right? But if it's a close game or God forbid Auburn loses, then we might come in here and talk. If you guys aren't following me, you see the @ handle right there, on Twitter. Make sure you follow there, and I'll make sure to put something out on Twitter as to whether or not we're going to be doing some sort of post game. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you're out there on Twitter. Let's see. Ephesians 2:8 jumps back in and says, looking for Chaney to play with some confidence tonight as well. Speaking of Chaney Johnson, and I'll get to your comment specifically here, we do have our fireside that is available right now. Chaney Johnson, Lior Berman, and Janai Broom. We sat down with them, fireside with the War Report. That's available right now on the channel if you guys want to go take a look at that sometime soon. Make sure you check that content out. Great conversation talking to the young man, Chaney Johnson. But yeah, playing with confidence is going to be key for him. I don't think he's lacked confidence. I just think he needs to get his feet under him. Like, he's taking shots, but he's shooting the ball with a little bit more confidence. He's had enough confidence to take the shots. I think poised. That's the word that I want to use. He needs to play with more poise on the offensive end. I love what he's doing defensively. I love what he's doing on the boards. But if he can get a little more poise, and you can see it in his feet, that when he's getting to the basket, he doesn't like for instance, in the Southeastern Louisiana game, he got a steal in the last game and then took it the length of the floor. But when he got to the other end of the floor, it didn't really look like he knew what he wanted to do with the basketball. That's about poise and being able to get down and just understand, confidently, this is what I want to do. So I think that he just needs to play with more poise because I know he can score the basketball. I've watched his games. He played well when he played against Auburn. I think him being he's relearning himself in this role. Sometimes when you're not in the role of the primary guy where people are looking to you to score, Jay Will is another example of this. It makes you play kind of within yourself as opposed to just going out there and being like, yo, I could hoop. And limited opportunities make you a little bit more nervous with the opportunities you get because you know you're not going to get a lot of them, right? And some guys flourish in that spot and some guys shrink under that. KD Johnson, excuse me, is a guy who seems to doesn't matter how many opportunities I get, I'm going to play with the same level of intensity, confidence in 10 minutes as I do in 30 minutes of basketball. And he just kind of feeds off of that kind of energy. Some players aren't built like that. They are built to be the guy. And I think Chaney Johnson so far has proven he's struggling with that new role. Denver Jones, actually another guy who's struggled a little bit to adjust to the role of, I don't have to be the guy. I just need to function in these 15 touches I'm going to get throughout the game and play very confidently with those. Hopefully, Chaney Johnson has a bit of a game where he's playing more poised within this one, and I am looking forward to seeing what that's looking like for him tonight. P-Pass asks, facts or nah? We're doing this a little early. Tomorrow is the official facts or nah. And if you guys have facts or nah regarding Auburn basketball, we could definitely get into that tomorrow. But for sure, that edition of facts or nah is going to be devoted to the game this weekend. But facts or nah, Leo Berman dunks. If we are counting in, listen, with more minutes, I'm gonna say nah. I'm gonna say Lior doesn't get a dunk in this game unless it's a blowout. I don't see that happening, so I'm gonna say nah on this one. I want to see it because Lior got them he got bunnies, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, Lior, get up, man. We talked about that a little bit on the fireside as well. Lior being able to jump, I think, better than some people expect him to be able to. So I'm looking forward to that. G Dog asks, how many dunks does Auburn get tonight? I'm gonna say at least 8. At least 8 dunks in the game. Janai Broom will get him a couple. Cardwell will get him a couple. We'll get a couple in transition. I really want to see Chaney Johnson just abuse the rim like one time. I ain't seen him really get down with that yet. So I'll say 8 dunks in this game. I'll put it at a 7.5 over under for Auburn on dunks in this game. Auburn Todd says Denver is warming up right now. That is a good sign. I haven't seen whether or not they've announced starting lineup, so hopefully he's able to play a little bit. Max Effort says KD has never seen a shot he didn't like. KD's played with a lot of poise so far this season. He hasn't taken a lot of bad shots so far. I've liked the way that KD Johnson's handled the maturity that he's shown. So I'm hoping that he continues to do that throughout the remainder of this season. Reported that Aiden Holloway will make his first start tonight versus Notre Dame. Bruce Pearl said that on the pregame show. So still haven't seen a starting lineup. And if somebody else has, then please let us know. I'm kind of scrolling while I'm talking, and that is not a great way for me to be able to pay attention to what's going on. But Denver Jones looks good to go by some reports that I'm seeing out here. St. Bonaventure beats Oklahoma State, so Auburn will have the Bonnies tomorrow. This is reported by Richard Silva. So Auburn plays St. Bonaventure tomorrow if they win tonight versus Notre Dame. So I saw somebody talking about the OK State game earlier. That's what they were referencing. Auburn versus Oklahoma State. Let's see that. Still don't see a starting lineup announced, and we're only 5 minutes from the tip-off, so that's a little weird. But speaking of 5 minutes till the tip-off, the reason I started this a little bit earlier so that we could get in, since that game is over, they likely will start this game close to on time. So I am going to get out of here. Again, I am predicting, and I don't really even like saying predictions because whatever, I think Auburn could win every game, but I think that Auburn should be able to handle this game tonight. with no problem. But we will see what happens out here. I am going to get out of here and let you guys get set up for the game. Hopefully, everybody is having a wonderful Thursday night. Be back at you guys tomorrow morning with some facts or not regarding the upcoming football game this weekend. Before you get out of here, make sure you give us a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if this game warrants me getting on here post game, we'll be back and talking a little bit about this later on tonight. If not, members, y'all know what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking a little Auburn basketball recap stuff at the top of the week. So make sure you get your member notifications on. For those who don't know, we do a members only stream. That's all basketball live town. We're doing that. But that's it, man. I'm out of here until the next time. And as always, War Eagle, peace.